The massive crystalline ship hung above New Geneva like a shard of cosmic ice, its faceted surface reflecting sunlight in mesmerizing patterns across the city's skyline. Inside the United Earth Council chamber, Ambassador Marcus Richardson fought to maintain his diplomatic composure as the Valadorian delegation entered, their angular bodies clicking against the polished floor with each precise movement. High Commander Prisma, the lead Valadorian representative, oriented its uppermost facets toward the assembled human officials. The translator matrix hummed to life, converting the aliens' resonant frequencies into clear English. "Your species presents us with a paradox," it declared, geometric patterns pulsing along its crystalline form. "You claim to be civilized, yet your history overflows with conflict. Your art celebrates warfare. Your children simulate combat for entertainment. We question your fitness for galactic society." Richardson exchanged glances with Admiral Kimberly Patel, whose weathered face remained carefully neutral. 20 years of handling first-contact situations had taught them both that some species struggled to comprehend humanity's complex nature. The Valadorians, with their rigid, crystalline thought patterns, seemed particularly challenged by human contradictions. "Every species evolves through conflict," Richardson responded carefully. "What matters is how we've grown beyond it to embrace diplomacy and cooperation." Mere words, Prisma resonated, its harmonics carrying clear dismissal. "We require proof. Our species achieved peace through perfect geometric warfare, each battle a precisely calculated equation of force and counterforce. If you truly understand both conflict and peace as you claim, prove it." The chamber erupted in murmurs as the Valadorians' challenge became clear. Admiral Patel leaned forward, her interest clearly piqued. "What exactly are you proposing, High Commander?" "A military engagement. Your forces against ours. Not to destruction, we are not primitives, but to clear victory. Prove to us that you comprehend the mathematics of warfare as you claim to understand the arithmetic of peace." Richardson felt the weight of Earth's future settling on his shoulders. He knew this moment would define humanity's place in the galactic community. And the stakes? Should you prove worthy, full diplomatic recognition and open trade relations, Prisma's crystalline form shimmered. Should you fail, your species will accept protectorate status under Valadorian guidance until you evolve beyond your contradictions. Admiral Patel's slight smile caught Richardson's attention. They had anticipated something like this during their pre-contact simulations. The Valadorians' own history, meticulously researched by Earth's xenoanthropologists, revealed a species obsessed with geometric perfection in all things, including warfare. "We accept," Richardson declared, rising to his full height. "Name your parameters." The Valadorian delegation vibrated in surprise, their carefully planned diplomatic algorithms disrupted by the immediate acceptance. 3 solar days hence, Prisma recovered quickly. The neutral space above Neptune. Equal numbers, 3 capital ships each. Victory through disable or surrender only. As Richardson signed the formal agreement, he noticed Admiral Patel discreetly activating her neural link. The moment the Valadorians departed in their mathematically perfect formation, she spoke. "Task Force Artemis is already in position. They have no idea what they're walking into, do they?" Richardson allowed himself a small smile. "The Valadorians believe warfare is geometry. They're about to learn that humans turned it into an art form centuries ago." In the following days, as Earth publicly prepared its official response fleet, the real plan unfolded in the shadows of Neptune's magnetic field. The Valadorians would expect perfect formation, precise tactics, and conventional strategy. They would analyze Earth's known military doctrine, prepare countermeasures for standard human tactics, and position themselves for optimal geometric advantage. They would never expect what humanity had actually planned. After all, no logical species would ever consider such apparent madness a valid military strategy. But then, that was precisely why humanity had survived and thrived for so long in a hostile universe. As Richardson watched the Valadorian delegation depart Earth's orbit in their crystalline vessel, he couldn't help but think that sometimes the best way to win a game was to change its fundamental rules. In 3 days, the Valadorians would learn why humans had elevated warfare beyond mere mathematics, and why the galaxy's most dangerous predators had evolved on a little blue planet called Earth. Deep within the asteroid belt, aboard the stealth command vessel Nightshade, Admiral Patel stood before a holographic display of the solar system. Red markers indicated the Valadorian observation posts, each positioned with geometric precision to monitor Earth's military movements. Blue markers showed the publicly visible human fleet preparation near Mars. But it was the ghost signals, barely visible in the projection, that brought a smile to her face. "Status report on Operation Smokescreen," she commanded, her voice carrying across the bridge. Commander Raj Varma, her tactical officer, pulled up detailed readouts. Task Force Artemis maintains position in Neptune's magnetosphere, completely masked by the planetary interference. The Phantom, our supposedly lost mining vessel, has successfully integrated with the debris field above Neptune's rings. As for the Trickster. He paused, checking his readings. Still officially undergoing repairs in lunar dock, while the actual ship is already in position, running silent with its metamaterial skin active. And our guests haven't noticed anything amiss? No, Admiral. Their observation patterns remain unchanged. They're so focused on analyzing our visible fleet movements that they're missing everything else. Just as you predicted. Patel nodded, studying the tactical display. The Valadorians had positioned their observation posts in a perfect hexagonal pattern around Earth's key military installations. Their ships moved in precise, calculated patterns, monitoring every official communication channel and scanning every registered military frequency. Their geometric thinking was both their greatest strength and their critical weakness. "Show me the Valadorian combat simulation models they're running," she requested. The hologram shifted, displaying the crystalline aliens' predicted battle scenarios. Each one was a masterpiece of tactical geometry, ships moving in perfect formations, firing solutions calculated to mathematical perfection, defensive screens positioned at optimal angles. They had analyzed every recorded human space battle, every published military doctrine, every standard tactic in Earth's arsenal. "They're fighting the last war," Commander Varma observed. "Everything they've studied about us comes from official sources and historical records." "Exactly," Patel replied, reaching out to manipulate the hologram. "They don't understand that humanity's greatest military advantage isn't our technology or our tactics, it's our ability to completely rewrite the rules when necessary." In another part of the solar system, aboard the Valadorian command ship Geometric Harmony, High Commander Prisma reviewed their own battle preparations with growing confidence. Their tactical computers had processed thousands of possible human formations and responses, calculating countermoves for each scenario. "First facet," Prisma addressed its executive officer, "display the human fleet's current practice maneuvers." The holographic display showed Earth's vessels conducting standard military exercises near Mars. The ships moved in traditional formations, executing textbook maneuvers that aligned perfectly with the Valadorians' historical analysis. "Their patterns are predictable," First Facet observed. "They follow established military doctrine exactly as our simulations predicted. Victory probability calculations remain at 98.7%. Prisma's crystalline form vibrated with satisfaction. "They believe they can match our geometric perfection with their crude, emotional tactics. They will learn that true warfare is pure mathematics, nothing more." What the Valadorians couldn't know was that the very predictability they observed was a carefully crafted illusion. Back on the Nightshade, Admiral Patel was reviewing the final phase of preparation with her senior staff. "The key," she explained, "is understanding that the Valadorians don't just prefer geometric patterns, they're fundamentally incapable of thinking outside them. Their entire civilization is built on mathematical perfection. The concept of intentional chaos is alien to them." Lieutenant Commander Hannah O'Reilly, the ship's chief engineer, gestured toward the display showing their hidden vessels. That's why we've modified the Phantom's drive signature to appear randomly unstable. Precisely, Patel confirmed. To us, it looks like a barely controlled reactor leak. To them, it will appear as mathematical nonsense, their sensors will struggle to even process it. And what their rigid thinking can't categorize, it tends to ignore completely. As the final hours before the confrontation ticked away, humanity's true strategy remained invisible to the Valedorians' perfect geometric calculations. Their crystalline sensors swept space with mathematical precision, missing the chaos hidden in plain sight. Their tactical computers processed countless battle scenarios, none of which included the possibility that humans would intentionally appear weak, disorganized, or irrational. In her private quarters, Admiral Patel reviewed one final message from Ambassador Richardson: the Valedorians believe they're testing our worthiness for galactic society. In reality, we're about to teach them why humanity's illogical nature is our greatest strength. Sometimes the most powerful move in the game is convincing your opponent they're playing a different game entirely. As Neptune's massive form loomed in the distance, humanity's hidden pieces moved silently into their final positions. In less than 24 hours, the Valedorians would learn that their perfect geometric warfare was about to collide with something they had never encountered before: human artistic improvisation on the grandest scale. The space above Neptune shimmered as the Valedorian battle group emerged from faster-than-light travel, their three crystalline warships arranging themselves in a perfect equilateral triangle. Each vessel was identical, their faceted surfaces catching the dim sunlight and refracting it in mathematically precise patterns. High Commander Prisma observed the tactical display with satisfaction as their formation achieved geometric perfection. First contact with human forces expected in 3 minutes, First Facet announced. Their approach vector suggests standard military doctrine, a direct confrontation with minimal tactical deviation. Right on schedule, the first human vessel appeared. The UES Dauntless, a Titan-class destroyer, dropped out of FTL exactly where the Valedorians' calculations had predicted. Its arrival triggered immediate adjustments in the crystalline formation as the aliens' tactical computers calculated optimal firing solutions. Curious, First Facet noted, their vessel's shield harmonics appear unstable. Our analysis suggests suboptimal performance. Prisma's crystalline form pulsed with confidence. As expected. Their emotional nature prevents true tactical perfection. Begin targeting sequence. The command was interrupted as the Valedorian sensor arrays suddenly erupted with warnings. A second human vessel, the UES Trickster, had appeared from behind Neptune itself, its emergence masked by the planet's powerful magnetic field. The ship's drive signature was chaos incarnate, a violation of every known principle of proper engine mathematics. Impossible. First Facet's harmonics distorted with confusion. Their drive pattern defies geometric analysis. It should not be functional, yet. Adjust formation. Prisma commanded, its crystalline surface flickering with agitation. Recalculate optimal defensive geometry to account for. The third surprise came not from below or behind, but from directly above the Valedorian formation. The UES Phantom, a vessel officially listed as lost in a mining accident months ago, shed its camouflage field. It had been hiding there long before the challenge was even issued, its metamaterial skin making it indistinguishable from the surrounding space debris. Aboard the Nightshade, safely hidden behind Neptune's bulk, Admiral Patel watched the chaos unfold. Begin Phase 2, she ordered calmly. The Dauntless, seemingly vulnerable with its unstable shields, suddenly launched what appeared to be a debris field. The Valedorian sensors registered it as space junk, their geometric minds automatically filtering it as irrelevant data. Only when the debris cloud erupted into a swarm of micro-drones did they realize their mistake. Multiple hostile contacts. First Facet's voice resonated with alarm. Pattern recognition failing, cannot establish geometric solution. The micro-drones, each programmed with randomized attack vectors, swarmed around the crystalline vessels like angry insects. Their chaotic movements defied the Valedorians' attempts to predict their trajectories or establish stable targeting solutions. Meanwhile, the trickster lived up to its name. Its malfunctioning drive signature was actually a precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulse generator, creating patterns that played havoc with the crystalline ship's sensor arrays. Every time the Valedorians adjusted their formation to counter one threat, the electromagnetic noise shifted, forcing them to recalculate. Their tactics are madness. Prisma's harmonic voice crackled with frustration. No species would intentionally introduce such chaos into battle. It violates every principle of proper warfare. Above them, the Phantom revealed its own surprise. Rather than conventional weapons, it deployed a series of quantum resonators, devices specifically designed to interfere with the crystalline structure of Valedorian ships. The frequencies weren't powerful enough to cause damage, but they created discordant vibrations through the aliens' vessels, disrupting their crew's ability to maintain perfect geometric thought patterns. Commander Varma's voice carried a note of satisfaction as he reported from the Nightshade, Valedorian formation efficiency down to 47% and falling. Their tactical responses are becoming increasingly erratic. Of course they are, Admiral Patel responded, watching the battle unfold. We're not just attacking their ships, we're attacking their entire worldview. Every principle they hold sacred about proper warfare is being systematically violated. Their minds literally cannot process what we're doing. The Valedorian ships, their perfect formation now completely disrupted, fired desperately at the human vessels. But their targeting solutions, based on geometric perfection, couldn't adapt to the intentionally chaotic movements of their opponents. The dauntless, unstable shields turned out to be a sophisticated deflection system, causing incoming fire to ricochet off at unpredictable angles. The trickster's electromagnetic emissions made their own ships appear to be in slightly different positions than they actually were. And the Phantom, still broadcasting its resonant frequencies, prevented the Valedorian crews from achieving the mental clarity needed for precise targeting. This isn't warfare. Prisma broadcast in frustration. This is art, Admiral Patel finished quietly, though the Valedorians couldn't hear her. Which is exactly what they're about to learn about humanity. We turned warfare into an art form long ago, and sometimes the most beautiful art comes from controlled chaos. As the battle continued to unfold, it became increasingly clear that the Valedorians were fighting an enemy they had never imagined possible, one that had turned their greatest strength into their greatest weakness, using their own rigid perfection against them. The crystalline surfaces of the Valedorian ships reflected Neptune's blue glow in fractured patterns as their perfect formation continued to deteriorate. High Commander Prisma's command center had descended into what, for the geometrically minded Valedorians, amounted to chaos. The once pristine holographic displays showed tactical readings that defied mathematical analysis. Multiple system failures across all vessels, First Facet reported, its harmonics distorted with distress. The humans' resonance weapons are creating fracture patterns in our secondary crystalline matrices. We cannot maintain geometric combat synchronization. Prisma's form vibrated with frustrated recognition. The humans hadn't just prepared for this battle, they had engineered it from the very beginning. Every seemingly erratic move, every apparent malfunction, every desperate tactic was part of an elaborate dance they had choreographed long before the first shot was fired. Aboard the Nightshade, Admiral Patel initiated the final phase of their strategy. Deploy the Babel protocol, she commanded. Commander Varma's fingers danced across his console. Initiating now. All units coordinating. The three human vessels suddenly shifted their positions, their movements synchronized in what appeared to be complete randomness. The dauntless swarm of microdrones coalesced into geometric patterns that precisely matched Valedorian battle formations, before dissolving into chaos again. The trickster's electromagnetic emissions began pulsing in sequences that mimicked Valedorian command frequencies, only to scatter into nonsensical static. They mock us. Prisma's voice resonated with outrage. They demonstrate perfect geometric warfare only to intentionally corrupt it. No, First Facet's response came slowly, its crystalline surface dim with dawning comprehension. They prove they understand it. They show they can master it, and then transcend it. This is not mockery. This is demonstration. The Phantom's quantum resonators shifted frequency again, this time producing harmonics that aligned perfectly with Valedorian neural patterns, before introducing subtle discordances that made it impossible for the crystalline beings to maintain their rigid thought structures. It was like listening to a symphony where every third note was deliberately, artfully wrong. Status of the Valedorian fleet? Patel requested, watching the tactical display intently. Their shield harmonics are completely desynchronized, Lieutenant Commander O'Reilly reported. Power fluctuations across all three vessels. Their formation is, well, there is no formation anymore. They're moving like drunk geometry professors at a faculty party. Patel allowed herself a small smile at the engineer's analogy. And their crew efficiency? Down to 23%. Their thought patterns are so disrupted they can barely maintain basic ship functions. They're not just losing the battle, they're losing their entire concept of how battle should work. Aboard the Geometric Harmony, Prisma faced a decision that no Valedorian commander had encountered in 10,000 years of geometric warfare. Their ships were technically intact, their weapons still functional, but their ability to wage war according to the proper mathematical principles had been completely compromised. First Facet, Prisma's voice carried the weight of historical significance, analyze our tactical options according to the primary theories of geometric combat. I cannot, High Commander, First Facet responded after several attempts. The humans have introduced too many mathematical irregularities. Every solution I attempt dissolves into art, Prisma finished, the word feeling alien in its harmonics. They have transformed the battlefield into a canvas, and our perfect geometry into mere brushstrokes in their larger work. The High Commander's crystalline form pulsed once, decisively. Send the signal. Across the battlefield, the human ships detected a new transmission, a pure, perfect geometric pattern that every spacefaring race recognized, the formal signal of surrender. On the Nightshade's bridge, Admiral Patel received the confirmation with quiet satisfaction. Stand down combat operations, she ordered. Have the Dauntless transmit coordinates for a neutral meeting point. I believe it's time for some interesting discussions about the true nature of warfare, and peace. As the human ships moved to secure their victory, Commander Varma spoke quietly. Admiral, the Valedorians could have continued fighting. Their ships are damaged but still combat capable. Why do you think they surrendered? Patel studied the tactical display, where the crystalline ships now hung motionless against Neptune's swirling storms. Because we didn't just defeat their ships, we defeated their entire understanding of combat. We showed them that their perfect geometric warfare was just one note in a much larger symphony. We proved we could play their music flawlessly, and then we showed them jazz. The commander's eyebrows rose. Jazz? Improvisation. Controlled chaos. The art of taking established patterns and transforming them into something new and unexpected. In short, Commander, we showed them humanity's greatest strength, our ability to understand the rules completely, and then break them beautifully. As Neptune's storms continued their eternal dance below, the human ships maintained their positions around the surrendered Valedorian fleet. The battle was over, but its implications were just beginning to ripple across the galaxy. Humanity had proven itself not just capable of warfare, but capable of transforming it into something the galaxy had never seen before. 2 weeks after the Battle of Neptune, the United Earth Council chamber buzzed with anticipation. The massive crystalline forms of the Valedorian delegation no longer dominated the space with geometric perfection, instead, their formations showed subtle variations, small imperfections that would have been unthinkable before their encounter with humanity. High Commander Prisma stood before the assembled human leaders, its crystalline surface refracting light in patterns that seemed almost artistic. Ambassador Richardson noticed the change immediately, the rigid mathematical precision had given way to something more organic, more alive. "We came to test your species' worthiness," Prisma began, its harmonics carrying new undertones of humility. "We believed we understood the nature of conflict and peace. We were incorrect." Admiral Patel, seated beside Richardson, maintained a diplomatic expression, but her eyes sparkled with satisfaction. The Valedorian commander continued, its form shifting in what humans had learned to recognize as deep contemplation. "For 10,000 years, our species has practiced warfare as pure mathematics. Every battle, a geometric equation. Every victory, a solution to a complex tactical formula. We thought this made us superior. Instead, it made us predictable." The chamber remained silent as Prisma's words resonated through the translator matrix. "You showed us something we had never considered possible. You demonstrated perfect geometric warfare, and then showed us why it was insufficient. You turned battle into art, chaos into strategy, and imperfection into advantage." Lieutenant Commander O'Reilly, invited to the ceremony as part of the command team, leaned over to whisper to Commander Varma. "Is it my imagination, or are their crystalline patterns actually asymmetrical now?" "Not your imagination," Varma replied quietly. "According to our xenobiologists, the entire Valedorian species is experiencing a cultural revolution. They're discovering that perfect geometry isn't the only path to understanding." Ambassador Richardson stood to address the chamber. "High Commander, your species challenged us to prove our worth. In doing so, you gave us the opportunity to demonstrate not just our military capabilities, but our fundamental nature. Humanity's strength lies not in perfection, but in our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to find beauty in the unexpected." Prisma's form shimmered in what had become their species' version of agreement. "The terms of our challenge stated that victory would grant you full diplomatic recognition and trade rights. We will honor this agreement, but we wish to offer more." A murmur of interest rippled through the chamber. The Valedorian commander continued, "We request an exchange of knowledge. Not just military tactics or technology, but understanding. We wish to learn this art of imperfection that makes your species so formidable." "And in return?" Admiral Patel asked, though her slight smile suggested she already knew the answer. "In return, we offer our geometric precision, our mathematical insights, our crystalline technology. Together, perhaps we can forge something greater than either of our species could achieve alone. Perfect geometry tempered by artistic chaos. Mathematical precision enhanced by creative improvisation." As the formal treaty was signed, First Facet approached Admiral Patel privately. "There is something we still do not fully understand," it admitted. "How did you know? How did you predict that disrupting our geometric patterns would affect us so deeply?" Patel considered her answer carefully. "Because true strength doesn't come from perfection," she explained. "It comes from understanding perfection, and then knowing when to break it. Humanity learned long ago that the most beautiful music often comes from the notes you don't play, and the most powerful strategies often emerge from the patterns you choose to disrupt." The Valedorian's crystalline surface rippled with new understanding. "You did not just defeat us in battle. You freed us from our own limitations." In the months that followed, the impact of the Neptune encounter rippled across the galaxy. The story of how humanity turned warfare into art became legend among spacefaring species. But the real transformation was happening within the Valedorian civilization itself. Their once perfect geometric cities began to show signs of artistic expression. Their mathematical music began to incorporate deliberate dissonance. Their rigid thinking patterns began to embrace the possibility of beautiful imperfection. Ambassador Richardson, watching a sunset paint the crystalline spires of the newly established Valedorian embassy in impossible colors, reflected on the true nature of humanity's victory. They hadn't just won a battle or earned their place among the stars. They had shown an ancient and powerful species that there was more to existence than perfect geometry, that sometimes the most profound truths could be found in the spaces between the mathematical absolutes. As Earth's first cultural exchange ships departed for Valedorian space, carrying artists, musicians, and philosophers alongside military strategists and scientists, humanity had proved something fundamental about their species. They hadn't just mastered the art of war, they had mastered the war of art, and in doing so, transformed an enemy into an ally, and rigid perfection into evolving beauty.